In 11.2, we're going to talk about circles. And our symbol for a circle is simply a circle with a dot in the middle. A circle is the set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from some point called the center. So our center in our circle down here is right about there. Inside our center, we have a bunch of different vocabulary, and we have talked about our radius with a bunch of our volume and surface area formulas. Remember, our radius is the distance from any point along our circle to the center. So we can label this as r, our radius. Then our diameter is the distance across the whole circle. So if we start on one side, go straight through the center and to the other side, that is our diameter. And that's important, that our diameter goes through the center. The next vocabulary word with circles is called a chord. And a chord is a segment with any 2 points on a circle. The difference between our diameter and our chord is that the chord does not have to go through the center. So we could have these 2 points on our circle. This could be a chord right here. And we will label that as CH. CH, our chord. Now our diameter could also be a chord. It goes from 2 points on the circle, but our chord cannot be a diameter because the chord does not go through the center. Diameter has to go through the center. Okay, our next vocab word is a secant, and a secant is a line passing through a circle. So if we draw a line, this is an example of a secant because it is a line that passes through a circle. And inside the secant, which I will label SEC for secant, inside that secant we have a chord right here. From this point to this point is a chord. But the whole line is called a secant. And then our last vocab word is a tangent. And a tangent is a line that intersects a circle only in one point. So if we had a point on our circle over here and a straight line that is tangent to that circle only touches that circle at this one point. There, drew that a little better. So our tangent line only touches the circle at one point, and we'll label that tangent. Okay, so these are some basic vocab words when we were looking at circles. Now, if we are going to graph a circle on the coordinate plane, we are going to use the equation of a circle. And our equation is right below here. So this is the general form for our equation of a circle. When it's written in this form, our h value and our k value make up the center point of our circle. And then our r over here is our radius, r, in our equation. So let's look at some examples, and it's going to ask us to find the radius and the center of each circle from the equation. So in the first one, it says, find the coordinates of the center and the radius of each circle. Here, our equation is already in that general form. Our general form is k minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So in number 1, if our h here is 2, that means our center point is, since it's h comma k, it's going to equal, we have a 2 where h is right here, and a 1 where k is. So that's our center point. Then for our radius, our r squared is on this side of the equal sign, and here we have 9. So if 9 is equal to r squared, we need to get rid of that square to figure out what r is. So now if we take the square root of both sides, square root of 9 is 3, and our r is 3. Our next step is to draw its graph. So once we have the center and the radius, we can draw a sketch of the graph on a coordinate plane. And we know that the center of our circle is going to be at point 2, 1. So if we count over 2 in our positive x direction and up 1 in the y direction, this is the center of our circle. Then we know that it has a radius of 3. So with that radius of 3, we know 4 more points that we can graph on the outside of our circle. So if we count over 1, 2, 3 points to the right, and then go over 3 to the left, so 1, 2, 3. We can go up 3, 1, 2, 3, straight up 3, and straight down 3. 1, 2, 3. Those are going to be the outside points of our circle. So then we can connect our points just like that. And that is a rough sketch of our circle. Okay, so we have 3 more examples we're going to go through. I'm going to write the equation of our circle off to the side just so we can reference it. Okay, so if we look at number 2, we have our h of 3, but here we have a plus 3 instead of a minus 3. So that means that our center, our h value, is going to be a negative 3. Because if we put in a negative 3 into our h right here, if we put negative 3, then it would turn into x plus 3. Because if we have, let me erase that again, I'll write it out. So if we have x minus a negative 3, those two minuses right next to each other, remember those turn into a plus. So that gives us our x plus 3. So our h equals negative 3, and then our k is 2. Alright, so we have a 2 right here. And then our radius, we know that this right here, this 16, is equal to r squared. So if r squared equals 16, we take the square root of both sides to find r. Remember, our square and square root, those are inverse operations, so cancel each other out, and our r equals 4. Okay, then with those points, we can graph our circle. Draw a coordinate plane. My center is at negative 3, 1, 2, 3 to the left, and then up 2. So that makes our center right here. And my radius is 4, so I'm going to go left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going left 4 from my center. So I count over 1, 2, 3, 4. Right 4 from my center. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go up 4 from my center. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here. And down 4. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I can connect the points of my circle. Okay, let's do number 3. Here in number 3, again I have that x plus 2. So if I want to get a plus 2 over here, I'm going to need to plug in a negative 2. That negative 2, x minus a negative 2, that's really going to give me x plus 2, and that's what I have right here. So that means my h equals negative 2. So I have my center, negative 2. Now my y, it's just y squared. So that means my k right here is just going to be 0. And then I'm going to do the same thing to find r. This 25 is equal to r squared. So if my r squared equals 25, I need to take the square root of both sides, and I get r equals 5. So once I have these two pieces of information, my center and my radius, I can draw my graph. My center is negative 2, 0. So that means I'm going to be right on the x-axis. My y is 0, so I'm not going up or down. And my radius is 5, so I can count left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left 5 from my center, right 5, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I have all my points, I can connect them all into my graph. Remember, this is a rough sketch, so it's not going to look perfect. Okay? Last one here. Now, my x squared I have x squared plus y squared here. So that means in both cases, my h is 0 and my k is 0 in order to get just x squared plus y squared. So that means my center is just going to be 0, comma 0. Now this 1 is my r squared. If I set r squared equal to 1, take the square root of both sides. The square root of 1 is just 1. So I have a center, 0, 0, and a radius of 1. So when I draw my circle here, my center, 0, 0, is going to be right in the center. That's my origin. And then if my radius is 1, going up 1, left 1, right 1, and down 1. And I can connect all my points to get my circle.